Oh. Been a while since I've been on this bike. I mean, not really that long, but it's been a while since I've recorded on this bike. And if you guys will notice now, I've got turn signals because they were necessary. Yeah, I can feel the GoPro touching when I turn my head. Like I can feel it touching my arm. That's way too intrusive. What's going on, guys? I am out on the road and I'm back. This time on the trusty, dusty WR250X in dual sport trim. Although that just means dual sport tires because it's still got the same 16 or 17 inch wheels. Whatever, doesn't f***ing matter. So I figured I'd talk about something very, very potentially toxic today. And because I'm dumb. And that is why I don't drive Fords. Now I'm sure plenty of you have seen this Chevy tattoo on my arm over the, wow, I think it's been like 2 years I've been making videos now. So plenty of you have seen the Chevy tattoo, but that doesn't mean that I only drive Chevys or anything like that. That just more is commemorative from like my first race car, but I do prefer Chevys. I just know my way around them better. I can't find a fast lane today. Traffic is going so slow. I will preface this by saying it doesn't mean that I wouldn't ever drive a Ford and I'm totally against them, or that I think they're bad vehicles. I just have personally had, you know, bad experiences, and I'm sure a lot of that comes down to luck. Just got shit luck, but there's a few reasons. And we'll get to them sometime if this light ever changes. This will be the second time I'm recording this video, and the first time the camera wasn't recording. Let's start back when I was 17. The main reason will come at the end, and it's a good one or a bad one depending on how you look at it, because it's not really relevant to current Fords. But when I was 17, I had a Chevy Camaro, and my brother had a 4.6 Mustang. Sorry, this is, I'm talking in retarded pauses, but yeah, I had a Chevy Camaro, the LS, and my brother had a 4.6 Mustang GT. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the 4.6 motor, but it's a pain in the The bolt patterns are weird, the sizes change non-stop. There's lots of like electronic bullshit that interferes. Beastie Boys. I will say, just to be self-defaming and brutally honest, I don't know that there is a motor on this earth that is worse to work on than that Cavalier 2.4, 2.1, whatever it is. For the Chevy Cavalier and the Pontiac Sunfire. I just straight up, I don't know if there's a worse engine to work on. It is horrible. It's half metric, half SAE, and it's just the build quality is shit. And I can admit that being a Chevy fanboy. The Cavalier's motor, or the engine, is shit. Getting on with it. That 4.6 Mustang my brother had, it was always breaking down. Just forever breaking down. It was always something different. And again, I'm sure the Mustang was treated like shit before my brother got it, and I'm sure there are very fantastic running Mustangs. This is all relative and subjective, because I mean, it's from my experience, and these are reasons why I won't drive a Ford. So getting to work on them, and that's more like hating working on them, that more came from when I worked as a mechanic. Damn, I just slammed it into the camera. But that more comes from when I worked as a mechanic, and we'd get in cars to sell or for auction, and it's like a, you know, 2008, 2009 Ford Escape with like 70,000 miles, and we got to do a, you know, almost a full rebuild on it, and that just left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, just a car with that low miles should not. And I've heard some people have had bad experience with like the Cobalts too, so Chevys aren't immune to it. This is just from my experience. The Fords that came out while I was a mechanic and when I was younger, they just weren't very reliable. And again, they're all probably treated like shit. shit. That's probably why we wound up with them at the shop. But just saying. I don't hate Fords. I do talk on them a lot for fun. But that's because my brother's a Ford guy and I'm a Chevy guy, so it's just for fun. But when his Mustang was running right, it was a blast to drive, and it sounded amazing. It had an unhealthy appetite for people, though. So just by comparison to what I've been used to, the LS, solid motor, never had a problem with it. Now that 4L60, 4L80E transmission, that's a different story, but we'll talk about that in another video maybe. Because a lot of people on here, they've mentioned how they like that I'm still all about motorcycles, because a lot of people have moved on to cars or just stopped making riding content. They'll record themselves and then time-lapse the only time that they actually ride. I don't make a motovlog. So, I mean, whatever. I get sidetracked really easy. I have good things to say about some Fords, and if someone were to offer me a brand new or brand new-ish Ford pickup for my current vehicle, then yeah, I'd take it. But as a rule of thumb, I'm not gonna buy a used Ford. Oh, and my brother said luck. He had a Mustang, piece of shit. He had a Focus ZX3, and that thing broke down in no time, and I'm pretty sure that was his wife at the time's fault, but there's no telling. And then they had a Explorer they picked up really cheap with really low miles, under 100,000, and it was, you know, like a 20-year-old truck, but it's still a piece of shit. And I don't know why. The Escort was the worst. It used to overheat on us. I always thought it was catching on fire because right above your feet it would get so f***ing hot for no reason. The fuel lines would clog up all the time, and like we were slowly fixing and stuff, but the overheating issues, and it was annoying. And none of these were my vehicles, I will state. These are my brother's, but I mean, these were, at least 2 of them were from when we still lived together, so I drove those vehicles a lot, or was around them a lot. But moving on, I just keep getting sidetracked. Moving on, the main reason that I don't drive Fords is Ford ruined Christmas for me. Now, I know it may not make any sense to you, but Ford ruined Christmas when I was 6 or 7 years old. It was Christmas Day. We were opening presents at my grandma's house, and my dad had to work. He was a truck driver at the time, so he had to leave out on Christmas night. We just left my grandma's house, and we packed up with my mom and my dad, my 2 brothers, and we got in our Ford Tempo, I believe it was. A Tempo, I think it was a GL. Again, this was like 96 or 97, so the details are a little hazy, and plus, I was like 6 or 7 years old. So, forgive me, some of the details may be a little skewed because my little child mind couldn't handle it. Now, on the way to take my dad to work, we had to go to Springfield, which was about a half-hour, 45-minute drive from where my grandma's house was. So, on the way there, in case you guys didn't know, back then Ford had some faulty cruise controls, but they hadn't recalled them yet because I guess it hadn't hit the number that requires a recall. It's been a while since I've been back here, so I guess it hadn't hit the magic number for a recall. It's a lot looser than I expected. I don't know why I forgot that it had rained. On the way to take my dad to work, the car caught on fire because of this faulty cruise control, and it's really green back here. And oh shit, I almost flew over the handlebars. My childish mind, it made this fire seem so extreme. Like, not to go all shade tree surgeon, but it felt like the fire and brimstone from hell. And But yeah, it was you know, scary, and I was having trouble unbuckling my seatbelt, and I'm sure it was just the fear from, you know, being a child in that situation. And plus, being a kid, those old seatbelts sometimes were hard to get off anyway. But so I was stuck, and I could see the fire coming through the vents. Well, it was more of an orange glow and a bunch of smoke, you know, at the time, because this is when it first started. And my parents were getting out, and to me it felt like they were leaving, and they were, you know, gone and abandoning us. Really, I'm sure, because again, memory skews, especially for traumatic events. So I'm sure they were getting out to the back to grab us, because my parents aren't total bags, and, you know, they're not bad parents or anything. Sorry, I'm no moto tripping. I'm just trying to have a good time. So they were coming back to get us, like getting out of the car so they could reach us and get us out of the back seat. But it was snowing, and it was a shitty situation. All my toys are in the car, and on Christmas Day, of all days, I mean, there's never a good time to have a car fire. But on Christmas Day, it's just like a really bad time, and it puts a bad taste in your mouth for a vehicle. And I was the youngest, so that's probably why I'm the only one of my brothers that really made a big deal about it. I mean, I'm sure my brothers made a big deal about it, but it's actually only one of my brothers. Like I said, I'm not good on dirt. Especially rocky. I feel like I just I let that buck a little. I feel like I'm repeating myself. I should not be tired. I've been at this for like 5 minutes at the most. Let's start the easy way. See if we can rut through all that stuff. Just to see if there's a way out for when I inevitably fall. I'd be more down to do this if I had someone with me to help me get unstuck. Probably try and go a little harder. I don't know, my toys burn to a crisp as a child. My Christmas toys, and I was stuck, and as far, like, from my childhood mind, I just remember flames blowing in from the front of the car through the vents until it all, you know, went up in smoke, and until I finally got out. And I don't know, I was heartbroken at the time. That is why I don't drive Fords, guys. I'm gonna keep playing around here, and if any good clips happen, I'll put them in the video. But if not, I'll see you on the next video, guys. All right. Oh God, I let off. I chickened out. That was my fault. There's no reason that bike couldn't have made it up that hill. I hit my head pretty good. I got another camera in the back. I need to make sure it's okay. But I fell and landed on my head. Like, I didn't land on my head, obviously. But I hit my head on one of these rocks back here when I landed. I mean, I was wearing a helmet, so I'm sure nothing happened, but now I got a headache. That's what happens when you chicken out. I tried to pussyfoot it and I wrecked.